Welcome back, Red Wave America, to another video, discussion video. Today, I want to be talking about the Presbyterian Church. We're going to dive down into the history of how the Presbyterian Church came to be. So, unlike some denominations like Pentecostals or even Methodists, Presbyterians go back very, very far, just like the Baptists. Baptists go back to the 1600s. Presbyterians go back a little further to the 1500s, so the 16th century. So right after the Protestant Reformation, you had Lutherans, and then the Presbyterians started to also form. And so for today's introduction, for point one, when did the Presbyterian Church begin? So in the beginning, for the church, they began in 1560. So a long time ago, nearly 500 years ago, 446 years ago. They were led by a man named John Knox. He was the creator of this denomination. This was during the Scottish Reformation. So in Scotland, there was a Reformation there. He was influenced by John Calvin. So this is a Calvinistic denomination, the largest, in fact. They also were the denomination that formed the Westminster Confession of Faith, which was drafted in 1647, which serves as their primary theological standard for Orthodox Presbyterians. 1706, the first organized Presbyterian in America happened in Philadelphia by Reverend Francis McAmey. That's when they came over to America, so a very long time ago. So we have several Presbyterian denominations that we'll go over. But first, I want to go over why, in fact, did they form. The reason why the Presbyterian Church formed in the 16th century was to reform the church based on biblical principles, focusing on Reformed theology and a representative form of governance. So they have a convention, just like the Methodist Church and the Southern Baptist Church. They have a convention. It emerged in Scotland under John Knox, who was influenced by John Calvin, to reject the authority of popes and bishops instead of utilizing a system led by elders. So they didn't really, I don't think they left, they didn't split from the Protestants in that way. They split from the Catholic Church, just like the Lutherans, thus forming their own denomination within the Protestant branch. The Protestant Reformation. So their biggest difference between them and other Protestants was definitely their Reformed theology. Unlike Lutherans, Presbyterians hold to the 5 points of Calvinism. Lutherans hold to some of the points, but they're a little bit different on Reformed theology. So Presbyterians were full out. They're your most Reformed denomination that you're going to find in the Protestant denominational area. They also have a difference with the structure of government. So unlike Lutherans, Presbyterians have a convention. They're ruled by a main church, and all the other churches listen to this main church. So something like that. That's really why they formed. So what are the main denominations within the Presbyterian Church? Well, there's actually 5 main Presbyterian churches. Unlike the Baptist Church, which has over 100 different denominations, Presbyterians have only 5. And you might know a couple of them. So we got the largest Presbyterian church today, which is PCUSA. The liberal version, by the way. That is one of the most liberal denominations in the Protestant Church. They call it Presbyterian Church USA, the largest Presbyterian denomination, characterized as mainline, progressive, allowing for a wide range of theological views, including on the authority of Scripture. So pretty much this denomination just blatantly denies Scripture. So honestly, this denomination technically is not a Christian denomination. Let's just be real. They are a different religion. They are heretics because they believe in LGBTQ and they believe in women pastoral ordinations, along with woke progressive crap. That is their denomination. So if you ever heard of them, which I have, one of the first Roblox churches is led by Daniel H., who is a PCUSA. He's proud of it, he claims. He's also one of the largest Roblox church owners. He's been around since 2011, and this guy follows this church. It is a very big denomination, and so many people are under it, and they're all being led astray because this denomination is pathetic. So I think when people heard me in the past, when I've always stated, I don't like the Presbyterian Church. I dislike them. That's the one denomination I would never become, is what I told people. I think it's honestly because of what they did. The United Presbyterian Church, PCUSA, really kept me away from them when I realized, oh, well, most Presbyterians are terrible, so I will not become a Presbyterian. Today, the conservative ones, maybe they're okay. I still would never become Presbyterian, and I'll tell you why near the end of this video. So we have them. Then we have the Presbyterian Church in America. So just regular PCA, which I know a lot of people who are that also, including some of my relatives and people who I know in real life. This is the conservative version, so these guys are not heretics. They are the second largest Presbyterian denomination, known for being confessionally conservative and holding to the inerrancy of Scripture. So every word of the Bible is true, is what they believe. Then we have the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, EPC, more conservative on theology and ethics than the PCUSA, but generally more moderate than the PCA or OPC, emphasizing freedom in non-essential matters. So a little bit more moderate. Don't really know much about this denomination, so I'm not going to say my opinion whether I think they're heretics or not. So that's another one. And then we have the EFO, or the, not EFO, the ECO. ECO, a covenant order of evangelical Presbyterians, a fast-growing evangelical denomination formed by churches leaving the PCUSA, obviously, focusing on flourishing congregations and covenantal relationships. I don't know much about this one either. I will dive deeper into these denominations real quick, but first I'm just naming you the 5. And last but not least, you might have heard of them. They're called the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, so the OPC, a smaller, very conservative denomination founded in 1936 to maintain traditional Reformed theology against modernism. I don't know why this denomination is not best buds with PCA, which is also a conservative Presbyterian denomination. So I don't really know why they are divided on certain issues. I have no idea. So that's them. So now let's go over each individual one. We got the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, second largest Presbyterian church body, behind only the Presbyterian Church, and the largest conservative. It's the largest conservative Calvinist denomination in the United States. The PCA is Reformed in theology and Presbyterian government. So, largest Calvinistic denomination, pretty big. Then we have, of course, I couldn't find much about them, which is unfortunate. The other 4 I could find better sources, even though the PCA is literally the second largest, so I don't know why I couldn't find anything. But I did look up the EPC, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church. So it's a conservative, Reformed Protestant denomination in U.S., founded in 1981, aiming to balance evangelical passion with Reformed theology. It's also known as for a middle way approach, being more moderate or flexible than the PCA or OPC, while holding to inerrant traditional biblical interpretation. So some of their beliefs. I guess their structure and governance. They only have 145,000 people in their denomination. Very small denomination. Key distinctions: unlike PCA, OPC, or the OPC, the EPC allows for the ordination of women as elders and ministers, and allows churches liberty to decide between complementarian or evangelical views on marriage. Oh, so what does that mean? Don't know. Is that referring to LGBTQ? Well, they already lost me at the woman part. So yeah. So I do not recommend the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, EPC. They're heretics. So there we go. We got our answer. Don't go to that church. Mission focused. The denomination emphasizes church planting, church health, and global mission work. The EPC was formed by congregations seeking a more conservative alternative to the PCUSA, while maintaining a less restrictive posture on non-essential matters than other conservative Presbyterian bodies. So they didn't really try that hard. If they wanted to become more conservative, they would have stopped women pastors and whatever that thing was on marriage. So yeah, that's who they are. Then we got the ECO, a Covenant Order of Evangelical Presbyterians, is a fast-growing conservative Presbyterian denomination in the United States, established in 2012 by former members of the Presbyterian Church, PCUSA. Again, all of these denominations split from the gay church. This was actually recently, 2012. Origin, founded to provide a theological home for evangelicals leaving the PCUSA, largely due to disputes regarding theological, ethical, and bureaucratic issues, including the ordination of gay clergy and same-sex marriage. So they split from that crap, which is good for them. Theology, ECO adheres to Reformed theology. Obviously, all the Presbyterians do, including the gay ones. Upholding the centrality of Scripture and is known as evangelical, and unlike some conservative groups, ordained women to all ministries. Great. So they just lost me there. So again, they still ordain women to be pastors. So far, every Presbyterian church accepts the one that we'll go over in a minute, which is PCA. We'll talk more about them in a minute. Ordain women. Key distinctions: unlike the PCUSA, ECO churches usually own their own property. Okay, so they're not like under a convention, really. Like it is generally more moderate in its theological requirements than the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, or Orthodox Presbyterian Church, OPC. Founded in 2012, it's already at 100,000 members as of 2018, which was 8 years ago. So they could be a little bit higher. So that's them. I would not recommend them. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put them in a 4, just because of the women pastors. No, don't go to that. Then we have the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, which I told you earlier was founded in 1936, a conservative Reformed denomination based in the U.S. that maintains traditional Calvinist theology and strict biblical interpretation. It rose up against the modernism in the Northern Presbyterian Church, PCUSA. Doctrine, they adhere to the Reformed faith or Calvinism, holding to the Westminster Confession of Faith and the Catechisms. Theology, often considered more conservative or strict subscriptionist regarding the Westminster standards compared to the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA. Worship, life, emphasizes God-centered worship, preaching, and biblical obedience in daily life. Structure, primarily located in the United States. So it didn't really answer my question why they're different than the PCA. I guess they're more strict than the PCA, I guess is what they're saying. So that makes sense. Real quick though, I want to try to get to the PCA. Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, is an evangelical and Reformed denomination. Their core beliefs centered on inerrancy of Scripture, salvation by grace through faith alone, Calvinism, and sovereignty of God. They do not ordain women. So that's the difference. I believe the Orthodox one does not either. I did not recall or see anything about that. So I guess the only difference between the Orthodox one and the Presbyterian Church in America is that the Orthodox Presbyterian Church is more strict. Probably on like clothing and traditions, music and everything. Whereas the Presbyterian Church PCA is not as strict, but still a good denomination. Both I'd say are okay. I would not join either of them due to a certain belief that I'll go over in a minute that all Presbyterians adhere to. But they do not ordain women, so that's great. Calvinist, they believe in the Trinity. All Presbyterians do. So there you go. So that's them. And then last but not least, we have the Presbyterian Church USA, PCUSA, which is the largest Presbyterian denomination in the United States, characterized as a mainline Protestant church with a often progressive stance on social issues. Formed in 1983 by a merger of northern and southern branches, it has over 1 million members and represents a Reformed tradition with a focus on both theological reflection and social justice. So let's reflect back on the Bible and realize that, well, not everything's actually true. It's really what they're saying. Or that it was mistranslated or whatever stupid idea they come up with. Their structure is governed by a connectional system of councils, sessions, local Presbyterians, synods, and the General Assembly. I hate that. I think that's terrible. That's why I left the Southern Baptist Church, because they have stuff similar to this. Theology operates under the Book of Confessions, which includes the Westminster Confession, though it is often interpreted with breadth. So they really don't follow it, is really what that's saying. Social and ethnical positions. Historically supports justice initiatives for women, LGBTQIA+, individuals, and marginalized communities. The denomination permits but does not mandate the ordination of LGBTQ clergy and same-sex marriage. So if you are gay, you are allowed to preach at a Presbyterian church. If you are a man and want to marry a man, they will marry you. That is what this is saying, which is pathetic, anti-scripture, and very heretical. This is not good at all. Theological diversity, while often viewed as liberal, it contains a significant conservative minority, about 10 to 20% of the churches. I don't know why these churches are even still a part of the PCUSA. They should probably get out of it, but there's only like 10 to 20% of them left that are kind of conservative, I guess, membership. Like many mainline denominations, the PCUSA has experienced a decline in membership in recent decades. I wonder why. PCUSA is distinct from more conservative branches such as the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, or the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, OPC. So this denomination is your enemy on a scale of 1 to 10. I put them at -10. Do not go to this denomination. They are heretics, and they are leading many people to hell. This is a terrible denomination. So that leads us to another question. What are Presbyterians' beliefs? So their core beliefs center on the absolute sovereignty of God, the authority of the Bible, salvation by grace through faith alone, and church governance by representative assemblies of elders. Rooted in the teaching of John Calvin, defining Presbyterian principles include sovereignty of God. God is the supreme authority over the entire universe, governing all things according to his purpose. That's what that means. God is in control, God is aware of everything, and nothing takes him by surprise. He is in control. Authority of Scripture, the Bible is viewed as the ultimate and supreme authority in faith. Sola Scriptura is what that is saying. Salvation by grace, not by our works, but by grace. Predestination, election. That's a Calvinist belief, but they believe in it. And then they also hold to two sacraments, which is baptism and the Lord's Supper. Now, here is where me and Presbyterians will not get along on, and this is why I'm not Presbyterian. With the baptism, they believe in infant baptism. Yeah. All Presbyterians believe in infant baptism, which I'm strongly against, but they believe in. So I'm going to be as non-biased as I can, as I've said in other videos. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to try to be nice about it. But they do believe in baptizing your babies. And then priesthood of all believers, both ordained ministers and lay people share the responsibilities of sharing the gospel. So Presbyterians, many of them believe in women ordination. Some don't. The conservative ones don't. So overall, those are their main beliefs. Infant baptism being the big one of why Baptists and Presbyterians are not the same, or I should say Reformed Baptists, not just Baptists. The Reformed Baptists, the only thing that makes Presbyterians and Reformed Baptists different is probably infant baptism and maybe a couple small things, but that's the main reason why we're not Presbyterians. I mean, I'm not Reformed Baptist either. I'm Independent Baptist with Reformed beliefs, but that is why they are different, just because of that belief, which is why I would never become a Presbyterian. So where are they at today? Well, as of 2026, the Presbyterian Church is in significant decline. They have lost 75% of their congregation since 1965. They used to be at 4.2 million people in congregation. Now they're at 1.05 million. They have lost 3/4, essentially, of their denomination. Now, with the smaller communities, like the conservative ones, they have reportedly increased by 6%. But overall, the denomination is dying. It's declining. And you got to ask why. You can thank the liberal PC USA for that. So, wow. Despite the decline, the denomination is actively creating new, often smaller worshiping communities and focusing on digital ministries. So you got people like Daniel H., who's like, we can save the Presbyterian Church, let's go to Roblox and do it. Well, they're now a dead group. So Presbyterian churches are dying. The liberal ones, I should say, not the conservative ones. Just kidding. No, I am actually not kidding. The conservative growth, the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, is smaller with 400,000 members, but has experienced growth. So they are growing. They only have 400,000 members though, which is not a lot compared to a lot of denominations, but they still have it's still a good amount, the second most amount in the Presbyterian Church, but they're growing is what this is saying. Great. Geographic presence. Local congregations such as those in Pennsylvania continue to operate, with many maintaining both physical, historic sanctuaries and online virtual services. Good for them. So that's where they're at today. Let's talk about some famous people, though, who were Presbyterian in the past. So obviously we know who John Knox is, who was the creator of it. You also have Francis McAmey, known as the father of American Presbyterianism. Then you have John Witherspoon, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Told you there was Christians who signed that document. A prominent minister in the early American church. So he signed the Declaration of Independence. This guy was a Presbyterian. Wow, I did not realize that. Famous people in the 18th and 19th century. You have Jonathan Edwards, While often classified as a Congregationalist, he was a key Reformed figure closely associated with the Presbyterians. He's the guy who did the sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. You also have David Brainerd, a pioneer Presbyterian missionary to Native Americans. Henry Highland Garnet, a formerly enslaved person who became a well-known Presbyterian minister. You also have James W.C. Pennington, a fugitive from slavery who became a leading Presbyterian pastor. And then Francis James Grimke, I guess that's how you say his name, Grimke, a prominent African-American Presbyterian pastor who served in Washington, D.C. for over 50 years. So you have those people. And then for the 20th century, you have Tim Keller, who actually died back in 2023, founding pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian Church in New York. You also have R.C. Sproul. This is probably the most famous Presbyterian. Pastor, theologian, and founder of Ligonier Ministries. A lot of people know who this guy is. D. James Kennedy, a longtime pastor of Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church in Florida. Also have Peter Marshall, James Montgomery Boyes. So some of those people there that I have. So in conclusion, where's the Presbyterian? Wow, that was a lot of history. The Presbyterian Church has been around for a very long time. So if you are searching for a denomination and you are searching into Presbyterian theology, I would recommend looking into the two Presbyterian churches, PCA and the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. Don't look into the other three. They're all heretics. They all are terrible. Those other two are okay. Just know. Infant baptism, you should probably study into. That's a huge debate among Baptists and Presbyterians. But overall, I hope you enjoyed the history of the Presbyterian Church. Thank you for watching Red Wave America. God bless.